93, everybody. This is actually week 5. Keen observers will note that the last vlog entry was week 3, but that's because that one was a little late and it seemed like too soon to do another one, and so on and so forth. So we're skipping right to 5. Now, since the last update, there's been a lot more of the Star Chamber videos, which is good. I think that I'm kind of getting into my groove on how to make something that's kind of like serious, hopefully mildly informative, and still kind of like works in this video format. Also been a few more about the occult. I did one on demons, and so the next two coming will be on gods and angels, and this is a division that I kind of just have. I don't know if anyone kind of specifically makes this other than me, but I kind of just see these as the 3 categories of different types of entities that require a different mindset and different approach to dealing with them, even though sometimes we'll use the same types of ceremonial evocation to make contact. In my own life right now, these are the times that try men's souls. I'm not really going to burden anybody with that. Let's just say that things are kind of intense and possibly bad very soon. But we'll see what happens. At the same time, I find it hard to get really too worried because I'm kind of just revving up on a new big working series of invocations, and those things tend to cause like little earthquakes all over your life, so that's not unusual. This will be the 3rd cycle of the Ishtar working. I don't know if I've made this clear before, but the first cycle was one that took place in the springtime, and the second one took place in the summertime, and so this one is going to be an autumn cycle, and then the 4th cycle next year will be a wintertime sort of deal. Then I might have one more to cap it off. I don't know. It will depend what the goddess demands. I'll probably write in some detail about how I'm doing this and how it's connected to the construction of the next watchtower. At this point, it's really too early to even describe it, because when I do a big working like this, I start with a very loose structure and start doing very formal invocations keyed to the particular days of the week, usually. Well, always, actually. But then over time it kind of develops its own personality and develops into its own thing, and what the goddess wants will sort of become more clear and more obvious, and it will sort of develop into a specific, like, rituals specific for that formula and for that working, as opposed to just, you know, your transposable planetary or elemental invocations. For the rest of it, it looks like I'm going to be done my novel pretty soon, probably, if I can. There isn't that much left of it to write, but the last, this great Zen proverb, in the journey of 100 miles, you've reached the halfway point when you've gone 90. It's actually said more articulately than that, but you get the idea. The last 10 are just as hard as the first 90, and that's kind of, is definitely true of writing as well. And after that, it's getting ready to go back to school and do my thesis, which, as some of you may know, I've very strongly said that I really do not like the atmosphere of universities, and I do not like academic culture. This has not changed. I've just been told that I have to do it, so I have to do it. I never assume that the things that, the imperatives that I get from my angel are necessarily going to be good for me, or I'm going to enjoy them, or anything like that, or even that they're going to like take my life to a better place. It's more, he and entities like him are thinking on such a larger timeline that it's not, you can't always see clearly the effects of what you're doing right away, or even in the course of your own life. I mean, Crowley certainly didn't get to see the full effects of the things that he did in his own life, and I would argue that rituals like the Paris working had a large part in what our culture developed into in the West. You know, some people, you can dispute that if you want, but if you connect closely to that working and look at what they were kind of trying to do and the information that was coming forward, it was very prescient of cultural developments that wouldn't happen for, you know, another, in some cases, 50, 60 years or longer. When you add on top of that the fact that it really takes years and years to become competent in ceremonial magic anyway, not that I don't think that people who just have a couple years under their belt can't accomplish certain things, but just to make the great sweeping changes that I think a lot of us would like to see our wills create takes, you know, a lot of time. I mean, I put a decade in at this point, and I still feel like kind of a novice, kind of a beginner. And it's not like I put that decade in, thumbing through books and sitting on my ass. It was doing regular rituals, which I've kept extensive records of. I find there's no surer sign of a phony than someone who brags about having done a daily ritual. It's just like, okay, well, you did regular. Congratulations. You're supposed to be doing something like that every day. I mean, he says it's a ritual adopted for daily use. It doesn't really take a whole big ass long time. Like the pentagram invocation, again, doesn't really take a long time to do. Sometimes it's hard to get off your ass and actually do stuff like that, but it's not actually as big of an investment as it might seem. Especially early on. I mean, I spent the first 3 to 5 years at least, if not longer, of my regular practice, of my AA work. So not going 10 years back, but going how far am I now? 6 years back, I guess, almost seven. So 3-4 years getting into that was just every day starting out with banishing and invoking, banishing and invoking, banishing and invoking, and I would always banish and invoke immediately afterwards, just to kind of clean out the system. It's like imagine someone taking, how in some yogic breathing you take these short, quick breaths in and out, and a whole series of banishing and invoking is kind of has a similar effect, just a little bit more more on the alchemical level. And engaging in that kind of exercise in a ceremonial setting kind of definitely adds a lot to it when you're sitting doing something like pranayama later on, because it gives you a whole different sort of spiritual context in which to understand the motion of your breath. And that way each practice kind of complements the other, but they can't complement each other unless they're done so regularly that, when you draw a pentagram a particular way in the air, you're automatically thinking of this color, of this name, of this, and you don't have to think about it because you've done it so many times that it's just in your head when that happens. Like a certain song makes you think of a certain person, or a certain smell brings back a certain memory. And you should be using songs and lights and colors and stuff like that. I'm probably going to be talking about that probably later on tonight because it's a little long to go into here, and this is long already, so I'll break it off and just say that, yeah, a lot more videos are coming, and I'm thinking it's going to start getting mixed up a little bit, so, keep watching. Until next time, 93.